Hello everyone, I'm TRG. And you know who likes cheap plastic electronic Chinese tat? Me. So I got myself a handheld gaming device similar to a one I owned when I was a kid. Known as brick games, they were pretty common in the 90s, I think mostly because you could consider them cheap versions of Game Boys. Except you only got pre-installed games since it didn't use a cartridge system. They were produced by no-name brands and most of them looked almost identical. Brick games had an LCD screen similar to the likes of Tiger handheld games, but used blocks to sort of emulate a dot matrix style screen. Of course, this meant no backlight and no gaming in the dark. On the back behind the screen you had a monophonic speaker out of which all the beeps and the boops came out. And on the bottom you could remove the back panel to reveal that the handheld was powered by interplanetary rockets. To control games you use the plastic buttons on the front and boy, do they feel cheap. They wobble and rattle if you even lightly shake the thing. You got your 4 buttons representing the directions, a big round action button and 4 option buttons, allowing you to reset the game, toggle sound on or off, pause and start the game, and turn the console on or off. Turn on the console, get greeted by a terrible musical jingle and get to the game selection screen. Here you can select one of the games represented by a letter of alphabet, set the starting speed and level and off we go. So let's go through available games and see what you got on this thing. Game A, Tanks. You control a few pixels resembling a tank from a bird's eye perspective. You have to shoot and eliminate hostile tanks. Never really liked this one, mostly due to the fact how small the playing field is and how crowded it gets. Game B, Breakout. Classic paddle, ball and bricks gameplay. Unfortunately, the ball can only move diagonally at 45 degrees, meaning that sometimes you can get stuck with the ball bouncing back and forth, unless you grab it with the paddle and shift it to the side. You can also use the action button to speed up the ball, but the LCD technology makes it very difficult to actually see the ball when you do that. Get all the blocks, next level, next pattern, rinse and repeat. Game C is again Breakout, only this time the ceiling was removed and replaced with another paddle you control. Twice the paddles, half the fun. In Game D you control a small cannon and you blow up the same brick patterns from Breakout games, occasionally with some blocks falling off, which you need to avoid. Game E is a weird Pong-like game where your goal is to get your ball past a paddle going back and forth and through a little corridor on top. No idea what the corridor / tunnel on the top is supposed to be. Game F is Racing. Using left and right buttons your goal is to switch lanes to avoid crashing into cars, pass other cars to get points. You can also hold down the action button to speed up, but that might end up with a crash as it, just like Breakout, suffers from the LCD technology making everything hard to read. Game G is Racing again, but this time with no cars. You have to stay on the road or else you go kablooey explodey. Game H is another cannon game, but this time blocks keep coming from the ceiling and you have to destroy them before they extend to the bottom, crushing you and your hopes. Game I is a reverse Game H. Instead of shooting down blocks, you shoot block upwards to plug holes. Plug in all the holes in a line to clear it, Tetris style. Game J is Snake. I really have nothing more to say about this, it really just is Snake. Game K is Frogger. You must jump as a blinking block in between spaces with the action key. And besides that, it's Frogger. And starting at Game L until Game X, Y and Z are variations of Tetris. Sometimes with a single modifier and sometimes multiple. It's actually a shame they didn't go all the way and implement a different game for each letter. L is your bog standard Tetris we all love so much. M creates a new row of blocks at the bottom each 30 seconds and switches to a random piece every time you rotate the block. O combines random pieces from N and the 30-second mechanic from game N. Game P shifts all the blocks to the right whenever you plop a piece down. Q is a combination of game P and M, and well, you get the idea. Like I said, this goes on until the last game. And this is all you get when you get one of those. Great in short burst, but I doubt you spend more than 5 minutes with this thing at once. Honestly, it's a piece of technology that aged really badly. Tiny screen resolution, box standard games, crappy plastic elements that could snap at any time, not to mention it's rather big. Not heavy, it is actually lightweight. But yeah, I paid for mine nowadays like something equivalent to $2, and I cannot get those $2 back. It's a shame. It's one of those moments in gaming you revisit and then realize that maybe, just maybe, this thing wasn't so great. It was great back in the day, but it's something that you would never ever visit again. And if you enjoyed this review or this presentation of games, there's more where that came from. More retro reviews, more indie, first impressions, and all the other lovely stuff with my voice in it. So you can follow me on Facebook, on the Twitters, I guess, and you can subscribe if you want to be notified and if you like this sort of video. So, TRG out.